Hi everyone, this is the second in a series of 5 videos where I'm going to be looking at Excel spreadsheets. So in this video we're going to look at formulas. We're going to start with the easiest formula of all, which is the summing formula. So I'm just going to add in a couple of different numbers here, and suppose we want to find the sum of those numbers. Then the quickest way to do that is to come up here to the sum symbol and just click it. And Excel is going to assume that you want to add the numbers above it, and you just press enter and it will do that. Now, one of the really good things about using formulas in Excel is that if we change any of these numbers, then it updates the total. Now, another thing that it'll do is if we put the numbers sideways like this, it will also assume that we want to sum the numbers that have just come before it. So it's pretty intuitive that way. So let's move on to something a little bit more interesting than just a bunch of numbers on the screen. So I'm just highlighting all of that and I'm just going to hit delete. And it'll clear my screen for me. So we're going to do a shopping list. Okay, so in our first column up here, we're going to type our items. So I'm just going to put that in as a heading. And then the first thing that we're going to buy is 1 litre of water. Now you can see how rice bubble has actually gone into the next column. And we can move this over, but we can actually just double click here and it kind of makes the column as wide as it needs to be. Now up in here, we're going to put the price. So again, capitals, oops, price. And we're just going to make up some prices here. It doesn't really matter. First thing we'd like to do is format these into currency. And the quickest way to do that is just to hit this $sign here. And that'll make it into money for us. And now we want to find the total. So remember how to do this? I've left a gap here, as you can see, and the computer's not going to figure that out. Can you see how it's included that cell B9? But this is a good time to talk about this formula. Let's have a look at it. It says equals sum B2, then colon B9. B9 is the end cell, so we just want that to be B8. So I'm going to do that. You can see how it changed? And then press enter. Now perhaps the next thing we want to do is work out the change. So down here in the cell A12, I'm going to type in change. And we're going to create our own formula for this. So suppose we've got $50 and we want to work out the change. We want to do $50 take away $25.85. Now there's two types of formulas in Excel. There's the functions like sum and min and max and average. I'm going to show you a few of those later on. And then there's the formulas you create yourself. But regardless, you've got to start with an equal sign, because if you don't, it's just going to display whatever you type. I mean, suppose I do just 50, take away $25.85. Can you see it didn't work anything out for me? So I have to start with equals. And I'm going to do 50, take away, but instead of typing the $25.85, I want to make it updatable. So I want to click in here so I get whatever the contents of that cell is. You see how it came up with B10, and then I hit enter. And Excel's clever enough that it figured out that's money. So let's have a look at what happens if we change the price of honey to $5.50. Can you see how it updated the total and the change? So that's a fairly basic spreadsheet. And you can see how it manages the prices and adding up and making change. But we want to make it a little bit more complicated. So I'm actually going to include a quantity column and then a price per kilogram or litre or whatever column. And we're going to create some more formulas. So first thing I want to do is insert 2 columns between item and price. So I'm going to right click somewhere here and insert a column. So there's my first one. And then I want a second column. Insert another column. Okay, so up here we're going to have the quantity. And then here we're going to have the price per unit. And you can see how I'm going to need to double click here to make the column wide enough. So in our quantity, I'm just going to fill in these quantities down here. So we had 1 litre, 250 grams of steak I'm going to put in as 0.25. I'd really like that column to be centered, so I click down on the B column and center it all in one go. Okay, our price per unit, we can just make these up. Okay, and you can see how Excel has not figured out that this is money. So we're going to highlight all of that and then put the dollar sign in. Okay, do you have other types of currency options? So see how the dollar sign's appearing all the way over here? This is an accounting format. So instead we can go up here and do currency instead, and it moves it over, which I like better actually, and we'll center at the same time. So whilst I'm there, I may as well do all of these as well. Now, nothing's changed here, okay, because we've still got numbers here. If at any point you want to see what's in the cell, you can just look up here above it. So we have a formula here and a formula down here, but nothing here. So we want to create a formula. All right, we're going to start with equals, and the price of the water is going to be 1 lot of, which is times. Now, times on a computer is an asterisk. So you can find it on the number keypad, or it is above the 8. So however you find it, you've got to find that asterisk. Don't type an X in, it won't work. So B2 times, and then our price per unit. And you can see how I'm not typing in 1 times 0.75, I'm typing in the cells. And then I hit enter. Okay, it didn't change. This one will, however. Let's do equals, and we're going to do this cell times this amount here. Hit enter. Okay, and that changed the total in the change. Now we don't need to go through and enter the formula for all of these cells. That's just the really good thing about Excel, is that it can copy down or fill down. Now what we've got to do here is grab this little green square. Okay, if we don't and we just drag down like here, nothing happens. So we click on this and we drag down. Now none of them actually changed because I put in the same amounts that we had, but that's all right. We can see as we click down here and have a look up here that the formula has changed. Now, do you notice something? Can you see how it's changed to reflect the row that it's in? So this is a really clever thing about Excel. So it doesn't just copy down B3 times C3. It assumes when we get to this row that we want B4 times C4. And this one is B5 times C5. So it's really clever. So this sort of referencing is called relative referencing. So it changes according to which row or column you're on. There is a way to make it fixed, but we'll go through that in a later video. Okay, so I think we've finished with our shopping list for the moment. We're now going to have a look at another example, which I've already set up down here in sheet 2, which is about rainfall for particular months of a year. So you can see how I've got the month, and I've got January written there, and then I've got the rainfalls. Now the reason I haven't filled in all of the other months is because I want to show you something else that this will do. So if we click and drag this down here, it actually updates all the months for you. You can make it not do that by clicking on here and just saying copy the cells, but why would we want all January? So we want to fill the series. So it's another useful thing. Remember how to make the column wider? Just double click here. Okay, first thing we want to do is find the total rainfall. So let's type a heading. How do we find the total? We go up here and we do sum. Okay, just check that it's got the correct cells. Starts at B2, finishes at B15. We don't want 15, we want 14, and hit enter. So there's our total rainfall. We might want to know the maximum rainfall. Now obviously you can see that. It's 410, but humour me, let's put in a function to work it out. What do you think it might be? Equals max, there it is. It'll come up here with all the different possibilities. We just want max. We need a bracket. Now, we can type in B2 through to B14, or we can just highlight it like that, which is kind of cool, isn't it? Close your brackets, enter. So the maximum was 410, that's what we suspected. We can do the minimum. How do you reckon you do that? Min, bracket, color it in. Close your brackets. And we can do the mean or the average. Let's type it in as average. In Excel, the mean is just average. So it's just this first one here. You actually have to type it all in, unfortunately. Bracket, same thing. Color them all in. Close your brackets. There are a lot of different formulas and functions that you can use, and in a later video I'll show you some more of the stats functions, so we can do the median and the mode, standard deviation, all sorts of things. So, but there's 4 of them. Now there's one thing that I want to change. I don't like this here. It's got too many decimal places, so I want that just to be to 1 decimal place, and so this is the place here that you change it. This one says decrease the decimals, and this one says increase it, and I want less decimals. So let's just do that, and it actually rounds it. I don't know if you saw that. See it? So as it goes to 1 less decimal place, it rounds it correctly. And the last thing I want to do is highlight all of that and center it.